Okay, let's just jump right in and unpack this. I want you to close your eyes for a second. Well, unless you're driving, obviously.
Right. Please keep your eyes on the road.
Yeah, safety first.
Yeah.
But if you can, imagine that feeling when you are underwater, like
Mm.
deeply underwater. You've dove down to the bottom of the deep end. The pressure is it's building in your ears. The light is getting all filtered and blue.
Everything moves in slow motion.
Exactly. Everything is slow. You are holding your breath, not just because you physically have to, but because for a split second, that silence down there feels safer than the noise up on the surface.
It's that suspension, that liminal space between the plunge and the surfacing. It's a very specific, almost heavy sensory experience.
It really is. And the panic sets in not when you're down there, but when you realize you actually have to go back up.
Yeah.
You have to break the surface, you have to gasp for air, and you have to deal with gravity again. That transition is brutal.
It's the shock of reentry. It hits you all at once.
It does. And that is the exact emotional coordinate we are living in today. We are doing a deep dive into the Deep Blue by Jennifer E. Archer.
Yeah.
And now, on the surface, if you just look at the cover or read the blurb, this looks like a young adult novel about a road trip.
2 teenagers, a car, a destination.
Right, standard fare. But if you're listening to this thinking it's just a rom-com with feelings, you need to reset your expectations right now.
Totally.
This book is heavy, it's beautiful, and it honestly just completely wrecked me in the best way possible, obviously.
Oh, absolutely. Because this isn't a story about the tragedy itself. It's not about the explosion or the plane crash in the way like a thriller would be. It's really a survival guide for the after.
The after. I love that framing because so often media focuses on the event itself, right? The breaking news ticker.
The sirens.
Yeah, the sirens. But Archer's interested in the debris field. The months and years where the world has moved on, the casseroles have stopped coming, the neighbors have stopped asking how you are.
But you are still stuck in that underwater space.
Exactly. And that's what we're unpacking today. We have the source text, the novel itself, and we are going to tear apart the psychology of its 2 main characters, Nick and Fiona.
We're going to look at how they navigate the literal geography of their grief.
Yeah, and the bizarre, almost manic coping mechanisms they invent, and the central, really fascinating concept of the happy ending, not as some cheesy cliche, but as a radical survival strategy.
We also have to talk about the narwhal.
Oh, we definitely have to talk about the narwhal. And no, I don't mean the animal. Well, I kind of do, but I primarily mean the place.
It's the absolute anchor of the mystery in this book.
It is. So if you're ready to wade into the heavy stuff, but I promise, we'll keep it moving and we'll find the light at the end. Let's get into it.
Let's do it.
I want to start with the geography of grief. Because in this book, grief isn't just a feeling, it's an ecosystem.
It has terrain.
It has terrain, it has weather patterns, and for our protagonist, Nick Bennett, that terrain is, well, it's digital and it is extremely loud.
Nick is a fascinating case study in what we might technically call ambiguous loss, though he handles it in a very loud, very visceral way.
Let's set the scene for Nick for a second. His mom didn't just pass away in a hospital bed surrounded by family.
Oh.
She vanished. She was on South American Airlines Flight 501.
A plane crash in the jungle. And the crucial detail here, the thing that fractures Nick's psyche and completely separates his grief from a normal mourning process, is that there was no body.
Which sounds like a standard plot point, but psychologically, that's a sledgehammer.
It is a sledgehammer. Without a body, without a funeral, without a casket to lower into the ground, there is no biological punctuation mark for the brain.
Right.
There's no period at the end of the sentence. It's just this trailing thought that goes on forever. And the human brain hates an open loop. It craves closure, not just emotionally, but cognitively.
So how does a teenage boy close that loop? I mean, he doesn't go to therapy. Well, he does, but we'll get to the mandated stuff later. Primarily, he goes to YouTube.
He becomes an archivist of disaster. This is his primary coping mechanism.
He spends hours, literally hours, searching for South American Airlines Flight 501.
He watches simulations. He watches news footage of the smoking wreckage in the jungle. He reads the NTSB reports. He dives into the technical failure.
It's almost masochistic. He talks about needing to hear every gut-wrenching second. And you think about it, most people would run from that imagery. Most people would turn the TV off immediately. Why is he running toward it?
It's all about control and comprehension. If he can understand the mechanics of the crash, the hydraulics, the altitude, the sheer brutal physics of it, he feels like he's participating in the event.
Like he's there with her.
Exactly. He feels less helpless. He's trying to retroactively protect her, or at least be with her in those final, terrifying moments. It's a way of saying, I am not looking away. I am witnessing this.
There's that line that floored me, says, "I'm afraid if I stop, I'll forget her."
Yeah.
He equates the physical pain of watching that with the memory itself. If he stops hurting, he loses the connection.
That is a classic trauma response. The pain becomes the tether. If you heal, you sever the tie. So he keeps the wound fresh with these videos. He re-traumatizes himself daily because the trauma is the only place where his mother still exists in the present tense.
And he reinforces this whole environment with his dead mom playlist.
It's intense.
It's so cynical and dark, but it's his wall. He uses the noise to drown out the silence of the house. He blasts this music just to keep the world away.
It's a sonic barrier.
Yeah.
He's creating a chaotic external environment because his internal world is chaotic. Silence requires introspection.
And introspection is way too painful.
Way too painful.
Speaking of the house, we have to talk about Zombie Bob.
Oh, Nick's father.
Zombie Bob is the nickname Nick uses, obviously. But the contrast between Nick and his dad is so stark, it's almost funny. Nick is chaos and noise and plane crashes. And his dad is, what, landscaping?
Manicured landscaping. And, this is actually a very common response in men of that generation dealing with profound grief. He can't fix his wife being gone. He can't fix his son's trauma. So what does he do? He fixes the hedges.
He creates these perfect mathematical globes of bushes. The lawn is immaculate. He's out there with the shears, making sure every single leaf is in place. But inside the house,
It's rotting.
the fridge is empty.
The emotional connection is completely severed. He's Zombie Bob because he's physically present but emotionally dead. He's sleepwalking through his life.
He's reading books like Eat, Pray, Love or these random cookbooks looking for a formula to fix his life, but he's completely unavailable to his son.
There's that brutal scene where he tells Nick that his obsession with the crash is morbid, and he suggests he should search for God stuff or try yoga.
Search for God stuff, it's so dismissive. But it's desperate.
It highlights the massive gap between them. The father wants to pave over the grief with nice landscaping and spiritual platitudes. He wants the after to look normal, but Nick wants to dig into the dirt and look at the bones. They're grieving in opposite directions.
And then on the other side of this equation, we have Fiona. Fi.
Fi is the counterweight to all of Nick's noise.
Her trauma is entirely different. Her mom wasn't lost in a mysterious, ambiguous accident. She was a war photographer. She was killed by an IED overseas. It was violent, it was confirmed, and it was viewed as heroic in the public eye.
And Fiona is left with the terrible weight of that heroism. But unlike Nick, who is explosive and seeking sensation constantly, Fiona describes herself as sparkless.
Sparkless. That is a terrifying word for a 17-year-old girl to use to describe her own soul. It's so final.
It implies a total burnout. She calls it a sadness saturation point. She's completely numb. She represents the freeze response in trauma. She's a gymnast, or was, and think about what gymnastics requires. Balance, tension.
Taking the landing.
Yes, it is the ultimate discipline of the physical body.
Absolute physical control, and she's losing it. She's coaching now, but the passion is completely gone. She's operating on autopilot because she knows if she stops moving, she might realize she's actually falling. She keeps going to the gym, not because she loves it, but because it's a rigid structure.
So you have Nick, who is screaming into the void, and Fiona, who has essentially become the void. And they meet in this court-mandated grief counseling group,
Yeah.
sharing after death.
Which we have to appreciate the detail that someone vandalized the sign to just say SAD with a frowny face.
It's exactly the kind of dark teenage humor Nick thrives on.
It really is. But let's look at their dynamic for a second. They aren't dating. They aren't just buddies. Nick says he is maxed out.
Maxed out at 1. This is such a crucial concept for you listening to understand about trauma bonding. Nick isn't saying he's an introvert. He isn't saying he's just socially awkward. He's saying he has an emotional energy budget that is currently severely in the red.
He literally cannot afford another friend. He's bankrupt.
Exactly. Think about it. Maintaining a friendship requires empathy, attention, give and take. Nick is using every ounce of his energy just to stay upright. Fiona is the only one who fits into his life because she doesn't require maintenance. They don't need small talk. They are each other's anchors. If he lets anyone else in, the boat sinks.
It's a closed ecosystem. They survive because they don't have to explain themselves to each other. They can just be broken together. It's like, I won't ask you why you're sad if you don't ask me why I'm watching a plane crash video for the 10th time today.
It's a treaty, a pact of non-aggression against each other's trauma, until, of course, that ecosystem is threatened. But before we get to the breakdown, we really need to talk about how they survive inside that bubble. We need to talk about the happy ending theory.
This is honestly my favorite part of the book's philosophy. It sounds so cheesy, happy endings, but Nick weaponizes it. It's not Disney, it's pure survival.
He absolutely does. It's a highly tuned defense mechanism.
So, Nick has this habit. He sees strangers on the street, and he invents these elaborate, perfect futures for them. That guy at the bus stop, he's gonna win the lottery. That lady spilling her coffee. She's about to bump into the love of her life. He narrates these little movies in his head all the time.
It's narrative repair.
Yeah.
He is rewriting the world to be a place where good things actually happen. Because his personal reality offers zero evidence of that. He is actively projecting order onto a chaotic universe.
But it's not just a quirky hobby. There is a scene that tests this theory to its absolute limit. The wolf scene.
This is one of the hardest scenes to read, but it's completely pivotal.
They're driving, it's foggy, it's early morning, and they come across a wolf that has been hit by a car.
It's roadkill, effectively. It's mangled, it's suffering. It is a direct confrontation with the senseless, gruesome reality of death. There's no poetry in it. It's just blood and fur on cold asphalt.
And Fiona is devastated. She's paralyzed by the helplessness of it all. She wants to help, but she physically can't. But Nick refuses to accept the reality sitting right in front of him.
He starts narrating. He tells Fiona, and he's really telling himself, that he's going to get out of the car, he's going to drag the wolf to the side of the road, he's going to bind its wounds, and it's going to limp back to its pack and survive. He describes the recovery. He describes the wolf running free again in the woods.
He's literally happy ending the roadkill.
And he knows it's a lie. That's the most heartbreaking part of the scene. He isn't delusional. He's desperate. He is verbally overwriting the trauma right in front of him because if he accepts that the wolf dies alone in the cold fog, he has to accept that his mother died alone in the jungle.
It's a shield. He is protecting Fiona from the horror, yeah, but he's really protecting his own fragile worldview.
Exactly. If he can control the ending of the story, even just in his mind, he isn't helpless. It's an exertion of agency in a universe that has stripped him of all agency. It's him saying, I say this lives, therefore, in my mind, it lives.
But Fiona, she has a very different reaction to helplessness. She doesn't rewrite the story. She flirts with the end of it. She talks about the call of the void.
L'appel du vide.
Break that down for us, because it sounds a lot like suicidal ideation, but the book is very careful to distinguish it.
It's a very specific psychological phenomenon. Have you ever stood on a high balcony or a subway platform and had that sudden intrusive thought, I could just step off?
Yeah.
Or I could jump?
Yeah, I think most people have. It's like a glitch in the brain, a weird pulse of adrenaline.
Right. And it's actually not a desire to die. It's a vertigo of freedom. It's the terrifying realization that the absolute only thing keeping you alive in that moment is your own choice to stay put. The barrier isn't physical, it's entirely mental. For Fiona, who feels so numb, so sparkless, that proximity to the edge is the only thing that makes her feel real.
She admits to Nick that she imagines jumping, not because she wants to end it, but because she wants to feel the fall. She wants to feel the wind against her face.
She is testing her own mortality. She's checking to see if she's still tangible. If she stands on the edge, the fear she feels proves she is still alive.
And their counselor, Grace, who is surprisingly sharp for a court-mandated therapist, by the way, she calls them out on this. There's a session where Nick argues that happiness is just pain management.
Which is such a deeply cynical teenage boy worldview. He thinks happiness is unsustainable. He views it as a fleeting illusion that we just use to get between tragedies. He thinks tragedy is the actual baseline of the universe.
But Grace flips it on him.
She says, sadness is not sustainable, and that is the key. Just like happiness, sadness is an emotion that burns massive amounts of fuel. You cannot stay in that peak state of grief forever. The body physically won't let you. She pushes Nick to intellectualize this, to write about it, which eventually sets the stage for his breakthrough.
But he fights her on it at first. He'd much rather watch plane crashes because that feels like the truth to him.
Right, until the catalyst drops.
Mm.
The mystery.
The narwhal.
Here we go.
So Fiona is going through her mother's things. Now remember, her mom was a serious war photographer, black and white, gritty, high contrast, truth with a capital T. She was capturing the worst of humanity.
And Fiona finds a hidden photo album tucked away, and the first thing she notices,
What's in color?
which is a huge sensory shock, it immediately signals to her brain, this is not the mother you knew.
And on the cover, there is a drawing of a smiling narwhal. the whale with the horn, but it has sequins glued to it.
Sequence. It is whimsical, it
Mm.
is joyful, it is silly, it is the exact antithesis of a war zone.
And inside, there are photos of a specific bar in Monterey, California called the Narwhal. And there are photos of her mom, happy, smiling. Not the brave, resilient smile she gave the press, but a genuinely goofy smile.
This album completely dismantles Fiona's understanding of her mother's identity. She thought her mother was a stoic martyr for the truth. But here is hard evidence of a woman who liked dive bars, who laughed, who saw the world in vibrant color. It makes Fiona question everything. Who was she really? And if I didn't know this part of her, did I know her at all?
So the mission changes. It's not just about surviving grief anymore. It's an investigation. Fiona decides she needs to go to Monterey. She needs to find the narwhal to figure out who her mom was when she wasn't being a hero.
But, and this is very realistic for someone dealing with trauma, she stalls, she finds the clues, she feels the pull, but she actively sabotages the trip. She books the hotel and then just keeps making excuses.
Why do you think she does that? I mean, if you found a secret clue about your dead parent, wouldn't you run toward it?
Not if you're terrified that the answer at the end of the road is empty. As long as the mystery is unsolved, the potential for a happy ending still exists. The fantasy is safe. But if she drives all the way to Monterey and finds a parking lot or a burnt-down building where the bar used to be, the hope dies, the mystery is safe, the reality is dangerous.
So she waits. And while she waits, the closed ecosystem between her and Nick starts to rot. We enter what I call the disintegration phase.
No.
And we have to introduce the character of May.
She's a...
She's Fiona's best friend from 6th grade, but she feels like she dropped in from a completely different planet. She's wealthy. She tells these outrageous tall tales like getting trapped in a car by a bear, and she is very interested in Nick.
May represents the outside world. She's the control group in this experiment.
Yeah.
She's a normal teenager who wants to party, hook up, and just have fun. She isn't carrying the weight of a dead parent. She is vibrant and chaotic in a way that isn't rooted in trauma.
And Fiona sets Nick up with her. She basically pushes him toward May, claiming she's maxed out and doesn't want him in a romantic way.
Which is a massive lie.
It's a protective lie. She thinks she's broken, so she's giving him to someone who is whole. But then, at a party, May asks Nick about his mom. And Nick, he doesn't tell her about the plane crash.
No. He tells her his mother was eaten by an albino tiger.
An albino tiger.
It's brilliant, actually. It's defensive humor at its finest. If he tells her the truth, my mom died in a horrific plane crash, and we never found the body. May will look at him with pity. The conversation dies. It becomes incredibly heavy. But if he says albino tiger, it's absurd. It's a joke. It challenges her to call his bluff.
He's testing her, but he's also keeping her at arm's length. He's actively refusing to let her see the real wound. He's performing normal teenage boy for her.
Precisely. But the problem is, Fiona sees them together. She sees Nick making May laugh with these tall tales. She sees a spark between them, and suddenly, her maxed out excuse crumbles. She realizes she isn't maxed out at all. She's jealous.
She wants him to be her person, but she pushed him away.
And the spiral really accelerates from there. Because of this party, where things get a little out of hand, rumors start spreading. Fiona actually loses her private coaching students. The parents hear that she's hanging out with that Bennett kid who throws wild parties.
Guilt by association. So Fiona loses her job, her sanctuary at the gym, and her standing in the community. Her life is falling apart specifically because of her connection to Nick. She is losing the few things she had left to hold on to.
And Nick, realizing this, hits absolute rock bottom. He feels like a contagion. He thinks, I'm destroying the only person I care about. My grief is toxic. So he does the only thing that makes sense to his panicked brain.
He runs, he steals his dad's truck, Zombie Bob's precious, perfectly maintained work truck, and he just vanishes.
This is the breaking point. He heads straight to Silver Falls State Park.
Why there, of all places?
It's a site of memory. He used to go there with his mom and his sister when things were good. He's retreating to the past because the present has become unbearable. He's essentially looking for a ghost.
And this leads to the scene on the bridge. This is where the l'appel du vide stops being a cool philosophical theory and becomes a terrifying physical reality.
Fiona tracks him down.
Yeah.
She finds him standing on this rickety suspension-style bridge over the churning water of the falls.
And he's just staring down into it.
He's listening to the call. He's not necessarily trying to jump, but he is standing right on the line. He's flirting with the void. He's asking the universe if he should stay or if he should go.
Fiona runs to him. She grabs him. But the conversation they have right there, It's not romantic, it's raw. It's angry and desperate.
It marks the shift from parallel play to cooperative survival.
Yeah.
Up until this exact moment, they have been grieving next to each other. On the bridge, they realize they have to grieve with each other. Mick admits, I didn't know what to do. Fiona admits she tracked him because she couldn't breathe without knowing he was safe.
They strip away all the defenses, no more tiger stories, no more I'm maxed out, just pure fear.
And that shared fear becomes the fuel. They realize that staying put is destroying them. The stasis is the enemy, so they make the decision.
To go to Monterey. To stop waiting around.
To finally find the narwhal. To chase the happy ending. To see if the color photos were real or just a fantasy.
So, part 5, the pilgrimage. They get in Fiona's mom's old gecko green VW bug.
A very conspicuous getaway car. It's an iconic image.
And they drive. Now, road trips are a trope in YA for a reason. But Archer does a really great job of making this feel gritty. It's not a fun music montage. It's exhausting.
No, it's not glamorous at all. The bedbug scene is a perfect example of this.
Oh my god, the bed bugs. They stop at this cheap motel, and Fiona goes into full hazmat mode.
She's stripping the bed, shining flashlights in the seams of the mattress, checking for blood spots. It's funny on the surface, sure, but look deeper. Fiona feels like her entire life is out of control. Her mom is dead, her career is over, her best friend is spiraling. What can she control? The bedbugs.
If she can keep the bed bugs away, she's safe. It's a microscopic proxy for the macroscopic chaos in her life. If the bed is clean, the world is clean.
And look at how Nick reacts. He doesn't mock her. He doesn't tell her she's crazy or tell her to hurry up and go to sleep. He picks up a flashlight and helps her check the seams. That is love.
That is true partnership. I will participate in your neurosis because I understand where it comes from.
Exactly. I will help you secure the perimeter.
But eventually they do get there. They arrive in Monterey. They find the address from the photo album. The mythical narwhal.
But it is definitely not what they expected.
It is a dump.
It's a total dive bar. Sticky floors, smell of stale beer, a neon sign outside with a broken horn. It's completely drab.
It's not the sequin-covered wonderland Fiona had built up in her head. It's just a bar. And reality crashes in hard. They ask the staff, hey, was a woman named Liz here 20 years ago?
And the staff looks at them like they're completely insane. Kid, I've been here 6 months. I don't know who was here 20 years ago.
This is the exact moment Fiona feared. This is why she stalled for so long. She dragged them all this way, risked everything, stole a truck for a dirty bar, and absolutely no answers. She breaks down. She's crying in the booth. The bubble bursts.
And this is where Nick Bennett becomes the hero of the story. Not because he fights a dragon, but because he tells a lie.
The happy ending mechanism kicks in one last time. But this time, it's not for some stranger at a bus stop. It's for Faye.
He sees Fiona shattering in front of him. And he decides to intervene. He starts talking to the bar owner. He spins this elaborate yarn. He says, we're here because her parents eloped here. It was 20 years ago. There was a terrible storm. The power went out. The narwhal sign beckoned them in like a lighthouse. They danced under the emergency lights.
He's painting a masterpiece for her. He is giving her the memory she couldn't find. He says, she kept the photos to remind her of what it is to live and love. He creates a mythology right there in the middle of a dive bar.
He validates her mother's humanity. He fills the void with something beautiful. He refuses to let the trip be a failure.
But then, and I literally got chills reading this, the lie turns out to be not a lie at all.
They go to look at the Wall of Fame. You know, photos of old customers tacked up on the wall near the back. The owner points it out, and there they are.
Fiona's parents, actually there, actually happy.
Nick's intuition somehow tapped into the truth. The photo proves that the happiness Fiona's mom documented in that album was real. She wasn't just a grim war photographer. She was a woman who eloped in a dive bar and loved her husband fiercely.
It proves that her mother contained multitudes. She could be the serious journalist and the woman dancing at the narwhal. And if her mom could be both, maybe Fiona can be more than just the girl whose mom died.
It breaks the binary. Life isn't just tragedy or comedy. It's both. The happy ending wasn't a fabrication. It was actual history.
So they have this massive victory. But there is one final piece of baggage they are carrying. The camera.
A waterproof disposable camera.
Right. Fiona brought her mom's damaged camera on the trip. It was recovered from the war zone. It has been sitting in a box for years. It literally contains the last images her mother ever saw.
And Fiona has been terrified to develop it. She assumes, quite logically, that it contains images of the explosion, the aftermath, the horror, the literal reason for the PTSD.
They go to the cliffs. The Pacific Ocean is crashing below them, and Fiona climbs over the safety barrier.
L'appel du vide again. But this time, it's purposeful. She isn't testing gravity. She is making a sacrifice.
Nick follows her, screaming, "This is how people get killed." But she's not trying to jump. She's standing on the precipice, holding the camera.
She is holding the trauma in her hand, the
Yeah.
potential for absolute horror. And instead of opening it, instead of looking, she throws it.
She chucks it right into the ocean.
This is, without a doubt, the most significant action she takes in the entire book.
I have to admit, as a reader, part of me was like, no, develop the photos. We need to know. But when you think about why she does it, it makes perfect sense.
She chooses the memory of the narwhal over the memory of the war. She chooses the life over the death. If she develops those photos, the final image she has of her mother is of her death. That gruesome image will overwrite everything else. By throwing it away, she preserves the mystery. She actively refuses to be the witness to her mother's end.
She controls the ending by refusing to watch it play out.
It is the ultimate act of agency. She releases the burden. She says, I don't need to know how she died. I know how she lived. She chooses the color photos over the black and white ones.
That is just, wow, that's powerful. It's completely rejecting the trauma narrative that she felt trapped in.
It's the exact moment she starts to heal. She stops being a victim of the explosion and starts being the daughter of the woman who danced at the bar.
And from there, the book moves into resolution. And I really appreciated that the resolution wasn't just, and then they kissed and everything was fine. It was structural.
It was about rebuilding the foundation of their lives.
Let's talk about the tattoos.
Yeah.
Because they get permanent souvenirs of the trip.
Fiona gets a scallop shell.
Which Nick, who is secretly a massive art nerd, we find out explains, is a reference to Botticelli's The Birth of Venus.
It symbolizes pilgrimage and rebirth. Rising from the foam. It marks her as someone who has made the hard journey and returned. She's not just a survivor anymore, she's reborn.
And Nick gets the word echo.
Referencing a really poignant memory where he stood on a mountain and shouted into the void with his mom. But echo also means the voice comes back. He wants to be heard. He is done just listening to the silence. He wants a response. He wants to put something out into the world and actually have it returned to him.
And they start fixing their families, too. This was crucial for me. Nick visits his sister, Alex.
The Titanic-sized iceberg in the family dynamic.
Right. He goes to her house in Portland. He meets her partner. And he realizes that Alex didn't leave him. She left the toxicity of the house.
He sees photos of himself on her mantle. He realizes he wasn't abandoned. He was just left behind in a burning building that she had to escape to survive. It allows him to forgive her. He sees that she loves him. She just couldn't save him.
And this leads to the settlement money. The airline has offered a massive payout. Nick has refused it for years because it felt like blood money.
Like putting a literal price tag on his mother. Here is X amount of dollars for your profound loss. It feels incredibly insulting.
But Fiona reframes it for him. She tells him to take it, not as payment, but as a tool.
She tells him to use it to buy freedom, to buy time, to finish his mom's bucket list. It's not compensation for her death.
Yeah.
It's funding for his life. It's permission to live.
And then the CVS parking lot.
The romantic climax of the story.
I love that it happens in a CVS parking lot. It's so uncinematic that it becomes incredibly cinematic.
It perfectly fits their reality. They aren't in a glossy movie. They are in a dimly lit parking lot with a bag of cheap chips.
Nick finally lists the moments he fell in love with Fiona. And it's not some grand gesture like when I saw you in a ball gown. It's swiping chili sauce from Chipotle, the face cream, listening to you breathe in the silence.
It's the deep intimacy of the mundane. He loves her for the survival mechanisms, not despite them. He sees the messy, broken parts and says, this is what I want.
And they finally cross the line. They go from maxed out friends to actual partners.
And this is key for the realism of the book, they don't say everything is perfect now.
No. Nick says, every time I'm with you is happiness to me. It's simple, it's sustainable.
So, stepping back from the plot, what is the major takeaway here? What did we learn from Into the Deep Blue?
For me, it's that you don't ever really get over grief.
No, you don't. You don't move on in the sense of leaving it behind on the side of the road. You move forward with it. The book suggests that grief is like matter. It can't be created or destroyed, only transformed. It changes shape. It goes from being a crashing plane to being a small scallop shell tattoo. It becomes something you can carry in your pocket without being crushed by the weight of it.
And the happy endings.
They aren't lies. They're blueprints. Nick wasn't just deluding himself all those times. He was actively practicing hope. He was training his brain to see a future where things don't end in fire and destruction, And eventually, by practicing it enough, he built one.
That is a really beautiful thought, practicing hope, like building a muscle.
It is. It takes work.
So, here is a thought for you listening at home. Think about the happy endings you write for yourself. Maybe it's where you see yourself in 5 years, or honestly, just how you hope your commute goes tomorrow morning. Are they escapism? Are you just hiding from reality? Or are they the blueprint for the life you are actively trying to build?
And maybe, sometimes, the lie is just the truth waiting to happen.
Exactly. Go find your own hidden narwhals, people. Dig through the trash if you have to, metaphorically speaking, of course. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us today.
Until next time.